Welcome back. Come back here whenever you're tired.
Welcome back. Who will carry this one? Is there anything else? Be careful on your journey. Welcome back. I am at your service. Very well. Is there anything else? Have a safe trip.
No. I'm the guy when Timmy goes to the local F&M and gets paired against me in round 1. I sweat him out. I call him on their missed triggers. I get him a game loss for a rules violation if I can. I destroy Timmy's. Okay, that's good to know, because what I've created for you today is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Timmy test. You're probably wondering what that is. I'm going to be showing you some of Yu-Gi-Oh's most famous and or infamous boss monsters. Cards that, you know, some of the Timmys, their eyes would light up with joy because they get to resolve their big crazy thing. Your goal is to tell me if you think, or rather to decipher rather, if any of these cards are actually the real deal and are cards that have made their way onto the ban list at any point or not. And you have to pick out the Timmy cards from the non-Timmy cards. Sound good?
Wait, am I also declaring it so a banned card is not a Timmy card by nature? Or it's too good? I see.
Well, I won't say that. Like, a lot of the cards I'm going to be showing you, some of them are Timmy cards, some of them are not Timmy cards, but not ban-worthy, and some of them are just straight-up good cards generally. So we're kind of all over the place here, but there definitely are some Timmy cards in here. And to give you bonus points, one of these cards was actually so good, it actually got banned twice.
Wow.
So if you can keep that one out, I will be genuinely impressed out of the, 10 or so I have here today. So,
yeah, bring it on. If there's
Let's go ahead.
it's how to dunk on Timmys, so this should be...
It's really just called the Timmy test because it's just like big giant boss monster in the episode. So
how do I get the
as I show you the first card here.
unique drop for this thing?
Dragon.
Head. Let me try headlines.
8. What is that? Light. Attack 3,000. Defense 2,600. Dragon cannot be normal summoned, of course. Must be special summoned from your hand, in parentheses, by having 4 or more light sword monsters with different names in your graveyard. You can pay 1,000 life points to destroy all other cards on the field once per turn during your end phase. Set the top 4 cards of your deck to the graveyard.
So let me give you some context here before we get into
The
this.
descriptions of the monsters seem to help us in finding out how to get the unique drops.
Is going to be basically sort of what the deck is trying to do. It's like its main win condition. If it sticks to the board or if it goes off, most likely you're going to win. So that's going to apply for all of these. For Judgment Dragon specifically, I hope I give you some context. The Light Sworn archetype, because Judgment Dragon's a Light Sworn monster. The Light Sworn archetype, their whole gimmick is about milling. So all of the Light Sworn cards have an effect similar to the last text on Judgment Dragon, where it says send X number of cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. And then they all just sort of have other just, decent effects for what it's worth. So this is, Judgment Dragon is the Light Sworn archetype's boss monster. So tell us what you think.
What you're telling me is that getting cards in the graveyard is not very hard.
Correct.
Was this before or after tier limits?
I will let you know, this was actually very early on in Yu-Gi-Oh! This was from 2008, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Let's see. Gosh. Without seeing the other light monsters, I'm like, if the tier limits thing went so hard, how as good as those?
I will show you a basic Light Sworn monster. Just to at least give you some context, because I think that'll at least help you out a little bit.
Let's go!
Give this a quick read.
Lila Lightsworn Sorceress. Hi! Level 4, 1700 attack, and only 200 defense! She got no booty? Really? It's weird. You can target one spell.
Honestly, booty stops mattering.
Position cannot be changed until the end of your next turn.
In this era.
Also, change
Flip monsters become less and less relevant.
Attack position to face down to
You're fucking.
If you do,
You're
destroy that
fucking.
target once per turn during your
You're
end
genuinely
phase,
fucking.
3 cards down to the beginning.
So, every Light Sworn card, especially around this time, functions like this, where it has like some effect.
I need
on
that
the
card now.
field, and then it has an effect to mill during the end phase of the turn.
Alright, so lots of things mill. This one deals with stuff. Seems like a controlling archetype. Kinda. Light. I guess it makes sense. The Judgment Dragon. Is it really a Timmy card? This is a Wrath. It's a Wrath attached to a dragon.
Give me a star seed, please.
Blowing everything up is cool, dude. Like, that's controlling stuff. Timmies like to blow things up. Yeah, I guess they do. I guess they have to pay life because they don't have costs because everything's free. Destroy all other cards. So my feeling is, if the opponent is doing the thing, it's pretty easy to see it coming because they're flipping over cards from their deck when they're playing these light monsters. It doesn't feel like you should get blown out by Judgment Dragon if there's any way to play around it. Sometimes the cards are available to allow that, but I think for the most part, you can see it coming. So if you just, if you just go all in and somebody blows you out with Judgment Dragon after they played a light monster and milled and had 2 or 3 creature, light monsters with different names in their graveyard already, you can't be like, surprise Pikachu face, I got Judgment Dragon to the next turn.
I think it's a correct assessment. If they're playing Light Sworn, there's a pretty with the Judgment Dragon's lurking in the deck.
If you can play around this, how less effective is it? It's still a very big monster. It blows everything out of the way so it can get its huge attack in. It does blow up your own stuff, but you probably have graveyard synergies, which isn't so bad. It is 1,000 life points, so if you can get the opponent low enough, maybe that cost is too high. Plus, all that they're left with is the one Judgment Dragon, maybe, although they can't play things afterwards. I'm just trying to spell. In some ways it goes. Also, the milling on end phase doesn't seem nearly as good. Obviously, the tier limits cards get it right away, and that was a whole different element. But milling at the end probably means that you don't have the resources when you want them, which makes the deck kind of slow. I see a few save points. This doesn't say once per turn, but why would you want to pay 1,000 life points multiple times? Oh, it says once per turn during end phase for the mill. Oh, is this part of so this is a good question. Is this part of the Enter's effect that you can pay 1,000 life?
No. It's a sorcery speed effect.
Okay.
You pay 1,000 life to do.
Oh.
You were correct. There was no Western turn on that season.
Yeah, go ahead and see what happens. Man, I feel like, so the board wipes I've seen, this one's a one, but it seems like there are a lot of good ones that aren't that good because everything has haste, and I know very well in Magic that the more haste creatures are, the worse your board wipes are. And again, you see this
Why?
one, and the rules that are for the class have to be on end phase, which
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes a lot of
your
sense.
ability to abuse it. I mean, it's just the first card, but I'm gonna say this is classic.
Now that I think
Timmy
about it.
card. This card didn't get banned.
Violent.
Yeah.
The Judgment Dragon was an absolute menace.
It was never banned though, right?
You can only special
It was
summon
just
one
nice.
Judgment Dragon at a time. So you can hypothetically, if you have 4 or more light swords engraved with different names,
Sure.
Judgment Dragon, nuke the field, and summon another Judgment Dragon, or 2 more Judgment Dragons, because we can have 3 copies of a card in our deck. Swing your opponent's face for
Amazing.
6 to 9,000, if that's the way the board sets up. Or if you have it normal summoned up to that point, you can bring out more things. I will say the end phase part of the effect is, you're sort of right. There are some cards that have effects in the graveyard that may activate later on, or, you know, you have to wait for something to happen for you to want to use that effect. So, yes, you don't immediately get the full value, but sometimes you might mill something that you want to use a little bit later on anyway. Especially around the time Judgment Dragon was printed. For people wondering, we're talking about cards like Necro Guard, Lake Scratcher Zombie, different things like that. For result, especially about all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Standards, you were talking about how you've seen some of the newer stuff. Or very common in old Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of them were restricted or banned, especially around the time of Judgment Dragon's release. But that said, you are correct. This card was never banned. Believe it most, it got semi-limited, so you could have only 2 copies. The semi-limited list is really bullshit, but we'll do that for a different video. On the board, JD was a very strong card for what it's worth, a very expensive card back in the day. The biggest issue is that Lightsworn was...
JD, it's a cool nickname.
Because it was a
Makes Judgment Dragon sound like he's a hip young kid who's real hip with the kids during his time in the early 2000s.
When it comes to that. Okay, you're on the board though. Congratulations. Let's see what you think about card number 3.
I actually
Never worried. No.
picked the correct door on my first try. How am I just this good?
Okay, I can pull out my Timmy voices. Water, 2700 attack, defense 2000, level. Correct. So you're about to throw it again. Dragon Synchro effect, 1 tuner plus 2 non-tuner monsters. Lots of monsters. When this card is Synchro summoned, you can banish up to 1 card each from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard. The card in the hand is your turn. Of course, you can't show them what's in your hand. Everything will fall apart. Okay. You banish up to 1 card each from hand, field, and graveyard. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That comes down and really removes some stuff. What would make this not good?
For context, we're now at 20.
That is a while ago. Something like this was probably scary back then. Probably very scary. And we definitely, I saw the tuners in the past, and we're assuming that there are plenty of tuner and non-tuners, so something this is what the deck is building up to.
Just to give you a little bit of context, this does require 3 monsters minimum. You need a tuner and 2 or more non-tuners. I will say for this time, most synchros only require 2 at minimum, so it does require a little bit higher of an investment. But, just so you have some context. So it is, you are having to put 3 in this game.
Is banishing 1 card each from hand at random, field of your choice, and graveyard of your choice, I'm guessing. Is that enough to be far enough ahead to win the game in old Yu-Gi-Oh? It doesn't have protection. It's like, if something else kills it, it's dead. And it only has the, pay off when it's synchro summoned. And, I'm looking at this. Okay, definitely.
Rama, please wake up.
If it were easy to meet the requirements, it might see play, but, banned back in the day, it was probably way longer back in the day. My problem with it is
actions are based on that. I don't think it ends the game. Maybe it could. You could exactly what you need. Exactly. And their best thing, and that thing out of the graveyard. And maybe it also breaks up a combo deck, like for real seeds, and they can't possibly win. But it still feels like if you put, like, this is the big one. The point of your deck, it feels like you put into this, and of course it's all better, but it feels like you're plugged into the wrong something that interacts with it, or just gets removed, or you're too far behind it, and removing one thing wasn't enough. This seems like a very strong card, but I don't think
Despite being the one with focus, Taylor seems to have a hard time regenerating her TP.
This is classical Timmy. It's big, it's scary, it's powerful. How could you lose? And then somehow you do. Yeah, I thought so.
So, one thing you can overlook with Trish is the fact that it doesn't target the cards that it's going after. It just says you can banish up to one card each from opponent's hand, field, and graveyard. How this works is that when you activate Trishula, let's just assume there's no other interaction, the effect is resolving. Your opponent has to preemptively decide in that moment if they have cards on the field. They have to sort of infer what the opponent is going to try to finish with Trishula and force them into using cards early because they don't want to lose them to Trishula, depending on like what those types of cards are. Whether it's a monster effect, they can activate, maybe a spell or trap card, they can activate that's set face down. It would typically be something in the hand during this period. So it can also just get like additional value as a result of that, if that makes sense. Because since it doesn't target, if you were to target it, then you could use that card in response, and then maybe it didn't matter at the end of it. But because it doesn't target it, they have to proactively flip the things, and then you can just say, oh, we'll manage the other thing. Otherwise, you can just manage the first thing, and then it would just... that doesn't target is huge, especially for this period of time. This might shock you. During this period, this was like the best thing you could be summoning out of the extra deck. Trishula also was
Trishula's fucking crazy.
Before it made its way onto the list.
It's also really hard to summon.
Hand loops with Trishula, where you can summon multiple copies of Trishula and start ripping multiple cards out of your opponent's hand on the very first turn of the game, because it doesn't have to banish from all three zones. So if your opponent doesn't have a field or a graveyard, you can just use Trishula and start banishing random cards out of their hand. You summon Trishula 2 or 3 times in the same turn if you have the deck that can do it. All of a sudden your opponent's starting the game with only, a 2 or 3 card hand. It doesn't really have a ton of work with. That's on the more degenerate side of things. But even outside of that, Trishula was just a powerhouse. Committing 3 cards, which a lot of the times there's a lot of ways to cheat around because you can just have cards that produce tokens or just very cheap.
I got Iron Shells. Let's go.
Field that make the stars align to be able to summon Trishula relatively easily. Huge swing in momentum.
I'm just gonna fucking beat the shit out of you.
Effects don't trigger. Similar to what I was
How would you like
Judgment
that?
Dragon, there are cards in the graveyard you might want to use later on. You can banish those so they don't have that for a follow-up play. And just hitting a card and right out the hand. Sometimes they're saving the best card for the premier opportunity. This card was banished so much so, it was banned. This card was banned. Wow. You can believe it. Like I said, this is the best thing your deck can probably do during this era. Crazy card. It is now banned. Correct, it's legal now, and it's fine. Because it's relative to 2011, that's for sure. Speaking of cards, we're actually going to stay in the synchro era. I will warn you, you're going to have to blow this one up.
Oh my gosh, I opened the image and it's still the same size. We're assuming
This one's not my fault, there's only like one printed.
Oh my god, what the heck is going on here? The shooting quasar dragon. The hell? Okay, well, we know max level, whatever this is. 1, 2.
That would be 12.
Thank you. Attack for 1,000 defense as synchro effect. A tuner synchro monster plus 2 or more non-tuner synchro monsters.
So for context, you need to have synchro monster, not just any monster. They need to be synchro monsters that go into another synchro monster to make this. So it's an even steeper requirement. But again, for the purposes of this...
What the actual fuck is wrong with this son of a bitch?
It's like what the deck is designed to do. Yeah,
yeah, they can all do this on turn 1, because that's Yu-Gi-Oh!
That's Yu-Gi-Oh! baby.
Wants to be synchro summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways, of course. This card's, is that maximum?
Correct.
Challenges here. This card's maximum number of attacks per battle phase equals the number of non-tuner monsters used as its synchro material? Okay. Once per turn during either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated, you can negate it. And if you do destroy it, just touch this and be like, yeah, it's spam. Gone. Nice. Once per turn during either player's turn. Nice! That's great. Okay. When this card leaves the field, you can special summon one Shooting Star Dragon from your extra deck. A Shooting Star Dragon is not the same thing.
Correct. A Shooting Star Dragon is this. I had to get it pulled up for you here. Vortex 3 3.
Oh my god! Sorry.
You can ignore the level, because you're reading it out for free. You're reading it out for free. Just start reading the effect. Just start reading the effect.
Once per turn, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. Shuffle them back. Also, this card's maximum number of attacks per battle phase this turn equals the number of tuner monsters excavated.
So it means you just reveal them, and then so if you reveal out of the 5 cards, you reveal 2 tuners. This thing gets 2 attacks for the battle phase that turn, and then you just shuffle the deck with the cards back in.
Okay. Once per turn, when a card thing activated would destroy something card quick effect thing, you can negate. Yep, destroy it. Why not? Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can target the attacking monster. Banish this card! And if you do negate the attack, enemies, special summon this card managed by this effect. What the? And then what are these cards?
I think so personally. I'm thinking about another effect or 2. But...
Oh my god! Does anybody know what this does? Have they actually read the whole thing? What the heck is going on? Must be Synchro Summon. Okay.
So if you want the shorthand version,
You're gonna be like, this one thing you may have overlooked on this card. You gave me the short version!
I will give you the short version that isn't trying to like obfuscate information. Okay, the short version is it gets 2 attacks by default if you just make it with the bare minimum materials, which is a tuner and 2 non-tuners, because the attacks are based on how many non-tuners. So let's just assume it has 2 attacks, so it can do 8,000 if it goes face. Okay,
We're talking about the first one here.
the first one, yes, this is the first one. And then if something gets activated, you can negate and destroy it. And this time, you bring out the other one. Is that simple enough? Strikes, negates and destroys something. Yes,
Here's
it's
when it leaves the field, so even if it
Why did
gets
Healing
bounced-
Lullaby?
Great question. Depending on what point you played this card, the answer is yes or no. Initially, the answer would be yes. If it got bounced back to the extra deck, it would trigger. They changed that rule that something bounce back to the extra deck cannot resolve in the extra deck, so that would no longer be the case. That's only the case if it gets bounced to the extra deck. If it goes to the grave,
Hey, we survived.
it's still able to activate.
The attack, so I'll take it.
Like information zone, I guess.
What, did this change happen because of this card?
There were several cards that have this when this card leaves the field text, and it was, I don't know if it was necessarily because of this, but it wasn't the only card that this was an issue with, let's just say.
Oh my god. Read all this. I hope it's bad.
This trail of red to leave some rainfall that I've set for you.
I think it's really funny if this was bad advice because there's 2 of them.
That's funny.
Is that what you would do to me? Is that what this is?
I won't ask you about Quasar, I'm not asking you about Shooting Star. I want to even know Shooting Star was something.
Thank you. That's not.
I will give you an ability to help me with that.
Is it even? Gotta read frickin' Quasar again.
Like I said, 2 attacks. Once per turn, it can negate and destroy something, and if it dies, you get Shooting Star.
Well, to play,
that's all it does.
Okay, to play the Shooting Star, you need a Stardust Dragon?
Well, Shooting Star's just getting summoned for free with Quasar. You can ignore the way summon shooting.
Yeah, there's all this text. It's like, well, you can ignore this, and you can ignore that until you can.
Well, you can summon Shooting Star the right way if you want, but why would you do that when Quasar summons it for free?
It's free. This card is obnoxious. This is some nasty stuff. Card's maximum number of attacks, so 2 attacks, just right off the rip.
Right, and more potentially if you want, but let's just say 2 for, simplicity's sake.
And once per turn, during either player's turn, they try to do something. You give them the middle finger, and if they finally somehow successfully deal with this, they get a little of that. Is this why banishing something was so useful? No, that banishing is leaves the field, right?
Nope, that leaves the field. Yeah, it's no trigger.
Is there any way around this? Like gain control of it, I guess.
You can gain control of it, yeah. That's I would say it's very uncommon in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they banned a lot of the best take control cards, but it's technically possible.
Oh my god. The text is disgusting. It's disgusting.
But am I just painting the brick wall, CGB? Is the tunnel being painted just for you? You're rounding the corner at full speed.
We're going to continue to assume that the decks that play this can just do this, and that it happens on turn 1 sometimes.
Correct. Especially with this card, the deck is literally designed to play this on turn 1.
And it's in a similar era to the last one. Synchro era.
Correct. This is, I want to say 2013, 2014. It's only a couple years after.
You said that. Okay, was it legal at the same time as Trish?
Trish may have been big before this was legal. But
Okay. Well, you also said when this was, Trish was before this. So that means Trish at the time being the biggest and the baddest doesn't mean that, it overrides this, because this came after.
Correct.
They learned nothing.
To be fair, shooting Quasar Dragon it is steeper to summon, so Trish a lot of decks could just play because of what we call generic, where it just requires a tuner and non-tuners and not any specific things. Quasar requires those monsters to also be synchro monsters, which is a lot of hoops to jump through. But like I said, the decks that were played were designed to play this. So Trish was played in basically every deck during this period, where Quasar was only being played in decks that were specifically trying to get it out, if that makes sense.
Compared cards to cards, this thing is toxic and evil. She seems absolutely no fun at any time. And when it's the first one, do I understand? Can you... the ability to negate the opponents, and then they get the other monster?
I mean, you probably want to try to negate something before they get to that point. But yes, but you're technically correct, yes.
And they're negate that monster. Oh my god. What a nightmare. It just is so lame. Just the staring match of, hey, are you going to use your effect to negate that? I don't know. I guess I'm trying to figure out if you're trying to
found the star seed.
It's all bad. No matter what, if this is out, it
Welcome
seems
to the
like
Rooster.
hell on
Very
earth.
well. Then allow me to show
Compared
you
the
to your
other
room.
card, this one has way more alarm bells. If you can just turn 1, do this, how can you put up with this?